I love it. I love it. Welcome from Minnesota. I am God's masterpiece. I am excited about today. That's vibrating high. As you join us, drop it in the chat where you're joining us from and your affirmations. Make sure you're in a quiet room, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you have a notepad and pen so you can take some detailed notes. Also, make sure you have your vibrata pulled up so that you can follow along with the trade whisperer as she empowers us this evening. So as you join us, drop it in the chat where you're calling us from and your affirmations. Remember, when we affirm what we want, we're creating our future in advance. Good evening from Columbus. I am the signal. Yes, you are. Welcome, welcome. As you join us, drop it in the chat. This is the largest economic empowerment movement in the history of mankind. Be your own bank. It's a philosophy. It is a mindset. It is a crusade. Everything in excellence. We are here to equip and empower each and every one of you. So make sure you're dropping it in the chat where you're joining us from and your affirmations. Let's go. Let's go. Participate in your own rescue, ladies and gentlemen. Affirm, affirm, affirm. Drop it in the chat where you're calling us from and your affirmations. We are going to learn some advanced strategies tonight. You're going to be able to understand how the market moves. You're going to be able to look at the market and it will tell you what to do. You'll have a relationship with the market. Remember, an educated trader is a profitable trader. An educated trader is also a profitable trader. And we are operating in excellence. Great evening, everyone. As you join us, drop it in the chat. I see you. I see you from Minnesota. Welcome, welcome. And if you are joining us and haven't done so, drop it in the chat where you're joining us from and your affirmations. I am a BYOB master trader. I am the signal. All my trades end in profit. I am 777. Yes, the market is my best friend. I am disciplined. I am a billionaire. I love it. I love it. I love it. I am unstoppable. I am the ATM. BYOB cash out is my pin. Yes, I am a BYOB average breaker. As you join us, drop it in the chat where you're joining us from and your affirmations. And if you're new to this call, drop a 111 in the chat. If you are still learning how to trade, drop a 222 in the chat. And it is indeed my privilege and honor to bring before you a woman I have nothing but the utmost respect for. This woman created the BYOB cash out strategy. It was God breathed into her, and she's been sharing it with us ever since, allowing us to create the life that we truly desire. She has a stellar background. She's a retired major from the U.S. Army. She's a financial advisor. She has a background in real estate as well. She has received all sorts of accolades, her MBA. She's a mother, she's a grandmother, she's a leader extraordinaire. She's led hundreds of soldiers, been responsible for billions of dollars worth of equipment. And ladies and gentlemen, she is just someone who wears her heart on her sleeve. She'll do anything to help us master this skill so that we can live our dreams and pay it forward so that we can all create generational wealth. So please help me welcome to the Zoom line our friend, mentor extraordinaire, coach of the year, lover to death, Miss Tasha M. Dyer. Miss Dyer, are you out there?
Yes, 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 I am here. Thank you so much, Miss Anderson. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our PIP master, our basics educator. Phenomenal woman, phenomenal individual, someone who is just knows success and is here to make sure that you all have it as well. Yes, I'm talking about a woman that's been featured in Success from Home 10 times, consistently featured, not only 10 times before, but just recently featured in another magazine article as well. You know, just tremendous impact, paying it forward consistently. And as you can see, if you've been on a basics call, right, because that's the call we should be on before we get on this call. Actually, all of the calls, because they flow together, they help together. And you really understand why we're having so much impact, because we have people that just care about you and your success. So let me officially welcome each and every last one of you all to our call this evening. Now we're streaming. And you want to make sure that you get out there. You want to make sure that you share. That's actually what you want to do. You want to share the training, share the information, because we're here to empower families. We're here. What I do know for a fact is empower people, right? Empowered people, empower people. And we're going to start here with you this evening. So I do see a few 111s on here this evening, a few of you all that are new to the call. And what I want to make sure and understanding is you understand how this works, right? You understand how this call schedule works. You understand like what we do, because we do over 40 calls a month. And I want you guys to really just grasp and understand that behind these calls and what we're doing is to empower you. So yes, this is our Thursday, right? This is your Trust Your Trade Thursday. Now, this is the last time I'm gonna give the individual credit for saying that, but the reality is I want you to understand just how true that is, just how significant, right, Trust Your Trade Thursday means, because we start this week out with empowering you, right? We start this week out every single week, Monday through Thursday, we're on the line. Yes, Monday through Thursday, we're on the line. And on the line, what we're doing is making sure that you understand at 5 a.m. and 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're making sure that you understand how to dive in. We're walking you through analysis. We're walking you through understanding. We're walking you through making sure that you can grasp and understand everything that we're doing and everything that we've been teaching on.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Trade Whisperer lost power. Please stand by. We will give you further instructions. She is working it out. So as you are on the line, we just want you to know that, of course, an educated trader is a profitable trader. We know that the Trade Whisperer, she pours her heart out to us to ensure that we understand what it is that we're doing. And of course, when we start our trading day, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we check the economic news. So if you all are taking notes, I apologize. I'm driving, but I can't pull up my screen right now. But if you're taking notes, we pull up the economic news, the Forex Factory, FXStreet.com, forexfactory.com. We always want to make sure that we're checking for red folders so that we don't enter trades right before the red folders, but we do pick up on the movement of the market after those news stories are released. So if you all took profit earlier today, drop a 777 in the chat. If you took profit earlier today, drop a 777 in the chat. I know I ate good off of GBP USD today and also US 30. So we know that what she's sharing with us truly, truly puts us in a position where we definitely can compound our account. One trade a day is all it takes, 6 figures in 6 months. So after you pull up your economic news, you check the red folders, then what you want to do is make sure that you are enrolled in the academy so that you can take full advantage of all the tools that we have an opportunity to utilize as it relates to being a part of a part of the academy. So the vibrata is definitely the chart that we use. And absolutely, we have other tools that go along with it, the harmonics, we have the bounce back, and a host of other tools so that we can be well equipped. And we know that as professionals, any professional who earns a high income, they have high level tools. So I want you to think about whatever it is that you do for a living. I know when I was introduced to the tools that I needed as a business owner when I owned a hair salon, one of the things my mentor taught me is that, look, we're going to be known for precise haircuts. So what we need are the best shears out there. So you can go to Sally's Beauty Supply and pick up some $20 shears, or you can go to a specialty shop and pick up shears that cost a couple $100, a few $100, or thousands of dollars based upon the level of professional you want to be. So that's the same thing. When we enroll into the academy, ladies and gentlemen, we have the best tools in the industry, and our strategy, the BYOB cash out strategy, is housed in the vibrata. So we are well equipped to make sure that we are able to analyze the market in a way that a professional trader who's being paid a 6-figure income by a bank would be utilizing. And so we need to make sure that we don't take that for granted. We need to make sure that we enroll so that we can be in the best position possible. So when you bring up your vibratas, ladies and gentlemen, and I apologize if someone, if Mr. Rogers, if you can share the vibrata, if you're in a position to do so, I'll continue to just walk
I'm here. I'm here. Give me about give me about 2 more minutes. I lost complete power. So give me about 2 more minutes. I'm almost back on.
No worries. So ladies and gentlemen, we know that we act as a team. We pick up where the other one leaves off. So ladies and gentlemen, she'll have the vibrata back up, but I want you to understand what you're looking for. And I want you to make sure that you understand the terms that we use in order to succeed using the BYOB cash out strategy. So it's a very simple 3-step strategy, and we use 3 indicators. We use the stochastic, we use the Hikinashi candles, and we use the PSAR. So we know that we're looking for price to be overbought and oversold. When we're looking at the stochastic, that's the bottom of your chart. You'll see it if you're on the vibrata and you have the BYOB cash out pulled up. You have the blue and the red line at the bottom in the purple shaded area. And you're looking for 2 things. You're looking for either overbought price or oversold. And so when you have the red and the blue line crossing over each other, the blue line crossing over the red, heading downward from the 80, you're noticing that you're seeing price turn around. It's about to drop. So when the blue line crosses over the red, it starts to head down. Then you're looking for a sale. Now, keep in mind, when we talk about a sale, we're not talking about the actual act of selling. We're watching price drop as people and companies and banks are selling. They're doing the actual act, and we're analyzing what's taking place. So just think of sell as decrease in price. It's a synonym as it relates to what we're doing. And then when you're looking for price to head up from the 20, then that means that price is oversold. It's turning around and it's going to increase. So when the blue line crosses over the red and it heads up around the 20, then you know that you're looking for price to increase. So then what do we do next? We look at the Hikinashi candle. And so with the Hikinashi candle, if you're looking for price to increase, then you're looking for a green candle with a flat bottom and the peace star underneath the candle. You're looking for a green candle with a flat bottom, the peace star underneath the candle. That shows that there's momentum happening. And just the opposite, if you're looking for price to drop and the blue line is crossing over the red heading down from the 80, then you're looking for a red candle with a flat top and the peace star above the candle. So those are the simple 3 steps that we start looking. We analyze on the 15-minute chart. And then what do? We look for time frame confluence. So we look at the 5-minute chart and the 1-hour chart. And we're making sure that the stochastic is in agreement with each other on all 3 charts. And we want the same color candle. Now, typically you'll have the peace star above the candle on the 5-minute chart, not so much on the 1-hour chart for a sale. And you'll have the peace star below the green candle on the 5-minute chart, but not so much on the 1-hour chart. So it just needs to look like it's setting up for a buy or look like it's setting up for a sale on the 1-hour chart. So once you understand the basics and the fundamentals, then what we do is we graduate. We go and we make sure that we understand top-down analysis. That means that we can identify the trend of the market by looking at the higher time frames, the 4-hour time frame. That is the head of the household. It's teaching us the direction of a trend. And so when we go to that 4-hour time frame and we're able to squinch, what does Ms. Dyer say? When we squinch the charts, we pull everything together so that we can see a lot of the historical data where prices travel. We can see market structure. And then when we draw our trend lines, we're able to see which direction price has been trending in, either up or down. And that'll allow for us to trade with the trend of the market. And so we want to make sure that we understand trends, how to draw our trend lines as well. We definitely want to understand support and resistance lines. What does that mean? That is where we identify where price stops. It's been trending in one way and then it just comes to a stop. So it may hit a psychological price. There might be a correction, there may be consolidation. So all of these things allow for us to have a relationship with the market so that our trading skill is precise. So we start with the basics with the BYOB cash out 1, 2, 3 strategy, and then we add on to the understanding. Then we add on to the understanding of what it is that we're doing. And so let me see where we are. Miss Dyer, how you coming?
I'm here. I am here. I am here. I'm here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for that. That was a bit crazy, but I am here. And let me say thank you so much, Ms. Anderson, for jumping in the way that you did. Just thank you so very much. Guys, can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so let's go ahead and let's dive in. Now, just let me back up just a little bit because I don't know where I cut off at. And obviously I did not hear everything that Ms. Anderson was sharing with each and every last one of you all. But let me just go ahead and officially welcome you all Let me welcome you to BYOB Market Talks. This is our tools analysis. And guys, I just told you, right? Excellence, excellence, excellence. We do everything in excellence. And literally, what just transpired is the reality that when we step up the way that just happened, when everything just transpires the way that it did, what you were able to see is the excellence. Now, I'm going to go ahead. Well, I know what I was attempting to share with you all, what I was attempting to really have a conversation with you all about is understanding what these calls are all about. So I'm going to back up and I'm going to kind of walk you through that. Now, I'm also going to walk you through, hopefully we didn't lose all my setups, which it looks like we absolutely did, but that's okay, because I'm gonna walk you through this from the very beginning. Now, understanding that, okay, understanding what our call schedule is about is Monday through Thursday at 5 a.m. Yes, 5 a.m. And at 5 a.m. and 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are in the market, okay? We're in the market and we're walking you through and what you guys see me doing is just trying to get all this set back up. But we walk you through the analysis. And then on Tuesday nights, what the woman that you just heard from, Miss Anderson, we actually get to hear from her on Tuesday nights, because what transpires and what happens is she's going to break down the basics for you, okay? We're going to get to the very basics of understanding, really what this movement is all about, and also understanding, how to dive in and how to take a trade. Now, what this call is about is making sure that we dive in and you really begin to understand the tools. Like you really begin to get in here and really just understand what's transpiring. So knowing that and knowing what's happening and knowing what's going on this is where we're going to dive in. Now, what we've been, for some of you all, I lost all the chat as well. So what's been happening is we go back and we're diving deep into understanding what is happening, like understanding how to utilize these tools. So I'm going to walk you through the BYOB cash out strategy, but I'm also going to walk you through one of the trades that I have pulled. Now, but due to the sake of time, hopefully we'll be able to dive in and we'll be able to get through all of this. But you guys know I'm not going to rush it. We don't rush anything. We do it in excellence. And then at the same time, when we do it in excellence, we do it in excellence, and then we actually are going to take our time. So if we have to do a part 3, then guess what? Then that's what we'll do. And I'm okay with that. So this is where it ultimately begins. So where you see me logged in is IM.Center. All right. This is where you guys kind of see me logged in right here on IM.Center. And then, of course, I'm going to come down where we click strategies, and we're going to come down. Now, here you're going to have access to tools. So each one of these little buttons represent a powerful tool. And the foreign exchange, the high frequency Forex, and also the digital currencies. And so what we're doing is making sure that we kind of go through here and make sure that we actually can make sure that we understand how to utilize it. And so the one that we utilize 99.9% of the time is the vibrato, right? That's what we utilize. And now, but everything that, and I say 0.9 because we're going to pull from the other tools, right? We're going to utilize them. We're going to train on them, but then we're going to bring it back to the vibrato. So it's not that that's the only one you need. It's just the one that we're going to bring it back to the vibrato, right? Our visionary is a spokesperson. The BYOB cash out is actually housed inside of that. So that's what we're going to do. Now, when we bring it back to the vibrato, so what we've been training on is harmonics, okay? And I'm going to click this button for our harmonics to come up so we can actually get the harmonic scanner to come up. And then also we've been training on the bounce back. So it's a little slow, a little bit. My router, obviously, if the power kicked out, my router as well. So it's, I'm thanking God, because normally the router takes a while to boot back up and get back on track. So, I'm not on my phone hotspot, then we really be in trouble. All right. So Now, as I'm looking here, so these are the two that we've been training on, right? And guys, as we go through this, please drop it in your chat, drop it in the chat, whatever questions you might have, right? Just kind of drop it in the chat. And like I said, we'll definitely kind of pick it up and I'm gonna answer your questions because I want to make sure you understand it. So let me make this make sense, okay? Last week we talked about trends, okay? Last week we talked about trends. Now, if I'm going to, and did I click the same one twice? No, I did not. Here we go. So last week we talked about trends. And what the bounce back does is it identifies trends in the market. All right. The market that moves in 3 different directions. Okay. It goes, and I'm going to come pick a currency pair. How we got GBP USD. That's what I want. So that's actually what's on my paper from the harmonic scanner. So this is good. So now what the market does is it does 3 things. When this thing loads, it will do 3 things. It does 3 things. It goes up, it goes sideways, it goes down, right? This is what the market does. I'm on my higher time frame, right? So the market goes up, the market goes down. The market goes up, the market goes down. The market goes sideways. That's it. That's what it does. Now, the beautiful thing is that we have the ability to profit. Okay, I see you making money during the training call. We have the ability to get in here and profit no matter what. We have the ability to get in here. You see, what we were always taught previously was that you had to buy, you had to give it. I buy, you hold, I pray, right? I buy something, you hold it while I pray. And the person that's holding it is also participating in this market. And so what we're looking at is the market, okay? We're looking at the market where real transactions take place. That's what we're looking at. So no matter what tool you look at, no matter what time frame we're all on the same market looking at the same thing, okay? That's what's actually taking place. Now, as I look at this, and I'm going to talk you guys through this, for understanding, but what I want you guys to see is the reality that as this is doing this, as this is moving, the only thing we're responsible for is looking at this and analyzing and understand where it's going. It is the same market. It's the same market. So here, these tools, what they do is they just identify different triggers in the market. All right. So we're looking, no matter if I got GBP from the vibrata, I got GBP from the harmonic scanner, I got GBP from the bounce back, they're all designed to just pull a different viewpoint of how they see the market, but it's the same market. The market is not going to change, okay? That's one of the biggest things. Now, when we're looking at this, my higher time frame determine where I'm going, right? My higher time frame determine where I'm going. My mid time frames, I analyze on. My lower time frames, I enter. So I'm gonna walk you through the BYOB cash out strategy, and then I want you to understand how these tools, I think that's where we'll go tonight, we'll make a little adjustment because I want you to understand how these tools work, and then we'll come back and we'll kind of focus on some. Now, this is the bounce back. Notice that if you're noticing, since we've been using it, a lot of these are identified in the mornings, okay? 18 hours ago, 18 hours ago, 11 hours ago, 20 hours ago. A lot of the trend adjustments or the trend triggers are identified in the morning. Gold just triggered, but can you tell me, can anybody, just let's think about this for a moment. Anybody that's been trading with us for any amount of time, can you understand or can you really just have any idea why most of them come through in the morning? Anyone? Drop it in the chat. Drop it in the chat. Anyone? I know my traders on here. Okay, well, New York is part of the morning. So there it is. That's the answer I'm looking for. That's the answer. Exactly. It's the most liquidity. It's the most movement. That is the most active, right? That's the answer I'm looking for. So I want you to understand how the market cycles. In the morning, the London session has the most liquidity. It has the most liquidity. In midday, when the US market is still morning for us, but kind of toward midday, when the London session closes, see, the US dollar is the most dominant currency. It's the safe haven currency. So that's why we're also going to get that. There's liquidity. In the evenings, yes, we have other markets open. If you look at the bottom of your vibrata, it's going to tell you the markets that are actual open, right? It kind of, if you look right down here at the bottom, it's telling you what markets are open. So we know the two that we were just talking about are closed. So here we have it, right? These are the markets. These are the sessions that we're in. So it's a little cheat sheet that they put on here for you to kind of help you. So it's not about us. Remember, it's not about us as traders. So that's a good understanding, but it's not about us as traders. Like most people are trading in AM. It's not about us. We ride the wave of the market. We're looking at real transactions take place. That's what I want you to get through. So here, the bounce back is identifying a trend. And then, of course, the harmonic scanner is identifying reversal patterns, okay? It's identifying reversal patterns. So when we understand this, right, when we can grasp this, or we understand what's actually happening, we understand what's transpiring, now we can understand how to take these tools and actually make it applicable. And I'm gonna try to stay on one thing because this thing is still trying to circle and spin. So while I'm waiting on this to cross back over and get where I wanted to be, any questions, comments, or testimonies? Any questions, comments, or testimonies, right? All right, so we're moving slowly. Just drop it in the chat. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna start with the GBP USD. And like I said, we're making a slight adjustment from what I talked about from trading on, but that's okay, because I wanna stay on one thing, you know, we can, right, that is when most buying and sellers, right, the most liquidity, right? That is absolutely the most liquidity. All right, so now from an understanding standpoint, just what I'm gonna show you on here is how the tools work. We've gone very deep into 3 of the tools, and I'm gonna show you how they work. So when we pull from the vibrata, right, which are these triggers over here, what you're seeing is, I want you to see this. This is a downtrend, okay? This is a downward trend in the market. So knowing that we have a downward trend right here, what happens is, I want you to see this. This is moving in impulse, correction, continuation, correction, continuation, right? That's what you see, correct? If I have any questions on that, let me know. Now, I'm going to put support and resistance lines on here in a moment, but I want you to see something, all right, as we're looking at this. So I'm squinching the charts up. Yes, I'm squinching the charts up. We have not gone over the strategy yet. Yes, I know, but I'm trying to show you the market right now. We're going to analyze, but I want you to see market. So what you're looking at, this has been an uptrend. This is where the market moved down. And right now it's moving sideways. So with the vibrata, all right, and this is not going to be precise because I'm not about to go through here and but what you're seeing as this market moves up, the vibrata is going to pull triggers. Remember, they all operate on a if this, then that. But see, what makes the vibrata so accurate is what happens is we get the triggers that, like right here, okay? So here is where we're going to get a trigger, because what's happening is the market is in an uptrend, but it pulls back. And when it pulls back and it creates some movement like that, that the correction is coming, that's when the vibrata triggers. So I'm answering your questions right now when you guys say, oh, but the market's buying, however, it's triggering for a sell, because it's not triggering or it's in a sell. It's always doing something different. No, what that means is it's time for you to get a little bit deeper in your understanding, because we're building a relationship with the market. And in your relationship, you want to understand how it moves. It's not triggering. If that's how it's programmed, let's think about that for a moment. If that's how it's programmed, would they program it wrong? Will we program it inaccurate? Would we program it to do the opposite? Absolutely not. That means that the red flag should come on and say, hey, I need to attempt, and I want to understand why it's doing that. So that means that there is something underlying that is doing. And so this is why I say we should always be seeking knowledge and understanding. And seeking that knowledge and understanding, this is where that trigger happens. But yet it would trigger for a buy. Now, I know I'm not on the 15-minute chart right now, or the 5-minute chart where most of them happen, but I'm just trying to show you from an understanding standpoint, because we know my internet is still catching up with the lights coming back on. So when this thing pulls down, right here it comes, this is where the trigger will happen. You wait for the correction to come, and then the market will move up. So this would trigger, and it will be a valid trigger for a buy. Does that bring some clarity and understanding to these triggers? Now, for the training purposes, we're on a 15-minute chart. I know we're not, but for training purposes, we are. So, right? Questions, comments, testimonies. We see that, right? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a trend line on here. 1, 2, follow through. All right? I follow through all the way. I'm not really worried about it. I'm not trying to put it over here. I'm not trying to bring it up here. It's about this second touch. 1, 2, follow through. And when I follow through, no matter where it falls and no matter where it ends, is where I put my trend line. Now, what the bounce back does is the bounce back, right, is about identifying when this is going to break. So my vibrato is identifying these points, right? My bounce back is identifying these points, right? My harmonic scanner is identifying these areas, right? So I'm gonna just and I'm gonna put this little box around it, because what this is identifying is when that trend change, when that would happen. Like it would be one here, it would be, right, a reversal pattern. So it identifies reversals. So all of it's still like a trend change, but it's identifying that reversal. Does that make sense? So do you understand how you can use all three of them collectively, right? I can use all three of them collectively, right? So we see that now. And that's why we're building. We're not just, I'm not throwing this on you. This is why we're building. And so what we're doing is in the mornings, we take this and we implement it. So if you want to, right, know how to analyze live trades with it, then in the mornings, that's what we're doing. All right. So any questions, comments, or testimonies so far on what I just shared with you? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark GBP USD up. I'm going to mark it up. And as I mark it up, I'm going to put on here, because there is a harmonic scan for it. And we saw that we also have a trigger for a sale right here that just happened 5 minutes ago. All right. So let me put this on here. This came from the harmonic scanner. All right. Now, and I'm going to talk about the psychological levels, right? I'm going to talk about that as well. Let's put this on here, and this should help you understand those take profits too. That should help you understand that. I know the lights went out, but my voice didn't go out. Like, what's going on? All right. All right. I'm not going to make the adjustments right now. Okay, not going to do that. But what I am going to do is these take profits, understand, are based on Fibonacci levels, okay? From a swing high, swing low, okay? That's what they're from. So that's what they're pulling from, right? Now, as we look at this, right, you can see this would be what they will call take profit one. I'm going to write it on, maybe we'll write it on there. We think we're going to write it on there. TP1. All right, so this will be TP1. Oh, I need it that big. That will be our TP1. Now I'm gonna put another text box right here. We're gonna put a TP2, because I want you guys to stay with me. And this is what they've identified based on Fibonacci levels as a TP3. Now, all right, so that's take profit 1, that's take profit 2, that's take profit 3. Now, let me help you with these take profits, okay? Let's talk about take profits for just a moment. Take profit does not mean that is definitely a take profit. I want you guys to understand that. I wish they would call it something else, because I have too many conversations where you're like, do I set 3 trades? I want you to get into the mindset of, art, not science, okay? This is not scientific data. Like, we're not doing a science project. You know, I'm doing too many of those right now with a second grader, but we're not doing science projects. This is an art. So you're looking what you want to know. So if I'm looking at this, I'm going to look left and see what's happening. Okay, I'm going to look left and see what's happening. Should I be able to get up? Now we're going to, of course, we'll get deeper in understanding, but I should be able to get up here to my first take profit. We train on that. I should be able to get up here to my first take profit. Now coming up here to my second take profit, we might be able to get to, but we're not going to do it without any analyzation. And then at third take profit, I'm not taking a trade all the way up here when I see all this space and opportunity. When I look right here, before I even get into the analyzation, I'm understanding that there is nothing here that I want to dig into. Like, there's nothing here. There's nothing in between here that I would even allow it to sit unless I'm running a trade with a trailing stop loss or something, right? So, not gonna happen. Now, let's look at this for a moment. As I'm seeing that this is what they've identified, now I want to put a psychological level on here for just a moment, all right? Let's put a because I want you to understand how this market, I'm telling you, this market is your best friend. Didn't we add that affirmation? When we were talking this morning? The market is my best friend. How do you treat your best friend? How do you treat somebody you really care about, right? Don't you listen to them? Don't you understand them? Don't you spend time with them, right? Remember, this market is our personal ATM. As much as you want to get out of it, you can. As much profit as you want, you can. I want you guys, right? We've been talking 6 figures to 6 months. We've been showing you how you can do 6 figures to 6 months. But in order to do that, you have to be able to have some consistency in your trade account. So this is your best friend. And when it's your best friend, you're going to operate in those 6 figures to 6 months. And then you'll be empowered and you'll understand what real wealth and freedom look like. Okay. That's what we want to be. And so as we're looking right here, this is our psych level. Now, psychological levels, for those of you all who are joining us and we're not on that training, the first thing I'm going to tell you is go to our YouTube channel, Be Your Own Bank Movement. Let's make sure you're subscribed. Please type it out. Don't put BYOB. You have to type out BYOB Movement. Be Your Own Bank Movement. You have to type it out. You have to spell it out, right? You're going to type it all, but let's spell it out. Then you're going to want to subscribe. So after you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you're going to find a training that says psychological levels. And it's going to go very in depth with you about understanding psychological levels and how they're so impactful in the market. But a quick snippet as to why they are, before you go watch it, is we round. We're human. This is real transactions taking place. We're human. We're going to be the ones that are moving the market and making the decisions. So if somebody places an order for $1.79, it's going to be $2. That's who we are as people, right? It's going to be $2. It's going to be $10. It's going to be $100. It's not going to be $9.99. It's not going to be $9.22, right? We don't do that. So the majority of people round, and I'm saying a majority because my sister's the only person I know that doesn't. So, but the majority of people round. And when you round, you know, what happens is this is where the orders and the transactions take place, right? This is where the orders and the transactions take place. And so what you notice is at these psych levels, the market actually react. Yes, big bank frequency market is my best friend. So my BFF. So this is where right? You see the market reacting, okay? You see the market reacting. And so what happens is, if I know that this is a psych level, if I'm hit the wrong thing. If I know that this is a psych level, then what you're seeing is I squish the market up. Look at how it consistently reacts to that level. The more zeros, the stronger it is, okay? The more zeros, the stronger it is. Now, this is where we're talking about the market turning around. This is what the harmonic scanner identified. So I'm telling you now, I'm not pulling all this out. So I'm not in there. It's not letting me back in right now. That's okay. You guys know what it looked like, don't you? I'm a little hard-headed. I want to get it. Like, how you going to tell me we're going to open this thing? You're not going to tell me I can't get in there. See, I told you. Failure is not an option. All right. Well, maybe I'm not supposed to be here. So I was trying to make a point. I'm trying to show you something. So these patterns that's in here, let the harmonic scanner do the heavy lifting for you, because what I'm not doing is going to do these calculations. So you see that what the harmonic pattern does is it identifies these calculations and everything in the market, and then identifies those reversal patterns. So no matter what I click on, you notice that there are all different types: shark, butterfly, right? Just all different types. And you'll see that in those different types, that's the different types of patterns, different types of calculations. So no matter which one, you see how they all look different? But guess what? There's a computer program that identifies it for you. And so you let it do the heavy lifting for you. And then you come back over here and we put those take profits on. So this is a harmonic pattern in here. And what it does is that it identifies reversal patterns. Now, what we also know about psychological levels is that most of the reversal patterns happen around a psychological level, because at these levels, the market is either going to keep going or it's going to turn around. It's going to keep going or it's going to turn around. And so most of these things happen. Your consolidation happens around psych levels. The market turns. So this is what the harmonic scanner is identifying. And so that's ultimately what you're seeing. And for those of you all who have been trading, it definitely looks like a good setup. All right. Now I'll continue to go through this one to help you guys understand what I've seen and what I mean. All right. Let's talk strategy, because many of you all cashed out on this today. And then I'm going to try to attempt to make sure that we grasp it. So what I'm doing is now 15-minute chart. Why is that your foundation? You're brand new to this. You're learning. You're just now diving in. This is your foundation, okay? This is where your foundation lies. You have to have a solid foundation to build a house upon. If you are new to this, this might be your first call, right? Anything like that, then guess what? Now look, it's triggering for a buy. We'll get there in a moment. But guess what that means? That means that you start here. You start with your foundation, okay? Because you have to understand, my higher time frame gives me direction. My mid time frame, I analyze. My lower time frame, I enter, right? Direction, analyzation, entry. It's that simple. I want to eliminate, right? I want to eliminate the mindset, right? I want to eliminate the mindset where we think I'm trading on a time frame. You're not trading on a time frame, okay? And trust me, I've always said it. I've told you guys, like, hey, we're trading on the 15. But that's okay, from a concept like, hey, we're gonna trade, we enter here, that's accurate. However, what I'm trying to get that shift in your mind to happen, because the question behind it should not be, well, can I trade on the hour? Can I trade on the 5? Can I trade on the 1 minute? Can I do those things? That should not be where our minds are. I want you to understand that this is, when you open this and you see this price, this is the real price. This is the live price, no matter where you look at it from, whether I'm standing directly in front of it on the 1 minute, or I'm doing a Google Earth view from an aerial perspective on the 4 hour. I'm still looking at the same spot. It's the same market. So what you're doing is just looking at it from a different perspective, and each time frame shows you a different view. Does that make sense? Guys, that makes sense? Y'all with me? Okay. Now, here we go. Maybe the chat's a little slow, or when my power kicked off, y'all kicked off, something happened to y'all. I don't know. But Thursday nights, y'all normally talk. Okay, I'm like, there we go, because Thursday nights, we normally have great conversation. So now, here, my stochastic. Blue line cross over the red in a downward momentum, okay? Now, this is going to happen around my 80 and around my 20. It's going to happen around my 80 and around my 20. So that's what I'm looking for. This is a leading indicator. That means it's the guiding indicator. Just like the predictions are made, like be based on your habits, based on what you do. Like I tell you guys all the time, my phone is like, hey, you about to leave the house, you need to go here. It's going to take you 14 minutes. It's going to take you X amount of time. So if you guys got iPhone, you know what I'm talking about. So right here, all right, that's that blue line cross over the red in this downward momentum right here, okay? That's what I'm looking for right there. Now that's that leading indicator. The other two are lagging indicators, right? They're lagging indicators. And understand that they're lagging indicators, okay? That's what this is. So now they happen after. This one is predicting based on my personal history, which we're talking about the market. This one is lagging, meaning that there was something that took place, right? There was something that happened, that where you guys kind of went in and, some activity said, hey, yeah, let's go ahead and let's go. So that's this red candle with a flat top, then this dot on the top, that PSAR. Okay, we're making money on a training call. That is something to get excited about. So now we have this in alignment. Blue line cross over the red in a downward momentum. I have a red candle with a flat top and a PSAR flip, right? That's what that is. Now what I want to do is I want to come look at my hour because I need to understand the direction, time frame, confluence. I want to understand if I'm going where the market's going. Now I come over here to my hour, and as I come over here to my hour, right? I come over here to my hour. What you're seeing is this has been selling. It's still selling, right? We're still in that sell. Now, I want you guys, I'm going to tell you, we're looking at historical, okay? We're looking at historical. So sometimes because I know what this trade was doing earlier, because, I know what was transpiring, I'm going to tell you this. Sometimes the stochastic, like, imagine some string, and it's like like right now, look at what it's doing. But like, have you seen it where after you get the next few candles, it'll kind of look a little different? So I know when we pull this in alignment and I put this over this line, I know it looks like that's up right now. I know it does. I promise I know it does. But because I know what the market was doing, y'all gonna have to trust me and tell you that it's curving, right? It's been down. And then of course, as I keep looking, you can see where my 30-minute is too for a GBP pair. Now, it has to give me some sort of indication as to what it was doing in order for me to be able to take that trade. Now, in order for me to be able to drop down, we're not taking a trade yet. So that's the BYOB cash out strategy. Let me drop down, right? When I drop down, then you see that it's still selling. Now, let me show you something right now. Now, you're not doing it until you understand where you are in the market. Do not even think about it. All right. We don't rush anything. We do not rush. You see how this is already selling? Had you analyzed, right, and you needed that tight entry, you could have came back and entered. We'll save that for another day. But I want you to notice that what we say should still be selling. This sell on the 5-minute already started. The sell on the 5-minute has already going. And because my sell on the 5-minute is already going, you notice that the strategy is in alignment already, like probably about 20 minutes before, right? So the strategy is in alignment of like 20 minutes before. So we already have like the blue line cross over the red and a downward momentum, a red candle with a flat top and a PSAR. All of that's already happened. So this should still be selling because I dropped down. This one should still be selling. And you would have been able to take this trade to your very first support and resistance line, or, right, very first support and resistance line, or basically 10 pips and cash out, or first support and resistance line. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, any questions, comments, or testimonies? Any? So now as I'm looking at this, what does drop down mean? Drop down the time frames. Drop down, jump up, drop down. I went from the 15 to the 5 to the 3 to the 1, right? That's what that means. Okay. So now when I'm looking at this, okay, when I'm looking here, when we just talked about this, you see this psych level. I want you to see something because I'm showing you, okay? So you see how we're rejecting right here. We're rejecting. Now, it's not directly on top of that psych level. That's okay. This is where you get people saying comments like, market whipping you out of trade, right? No, I want to help you develop your understanding, because this is your best friend. So if this is your best friend, you need to understand your best friend. How many of you all stop in front of the stop sign? How many of you all stop behind the stop sign? How many of you all stop at the exact same spot every single time or directly on the side? None of you all, but you stop in front, on the side, behind. Now, I don't really stop behind them, unless I'm in the neighborhood or something, but I'm just saying, but I just want you guys to grasp and understand that this is still considered at this psych line, right? This is still considered at that psychological level. So it's there. So what you're seeing is the market is having some rejection right here. So now when we look at this, they happen here, and what we're looking for, now what you're seeing is where I am in the market. We know that we've identified a harmonic pattern. We know that it's sitting on a psych level, right? It's sitting on a psychological level. And this is that rejection. You see all that rejection we just saw? That's what all of this is. Now, when I see, where am I going? My stochastic, blue line crossover red and upward momentum. Come over here to my 4 hour. Look at that, right? Come on over here to my 4 hour. Look at that. Beautiful, right? Now, when I get down here to my 15, this is all the activity that's happening on the inside of this, right? It's all the activity that's happening on the inside. And then sometime I'll miss the stop sign. You know what? We don't want to miss the stop sign. Let's not miss the stop sign. Let's always at least slow down at the stop sign. What they call it, the California roll? At least slow down. Sometimes the candles don't always stop either, but at least slow down. We don't want to miss it. So now when I come down to my 5, what you're seeing is all the activity that's happening on the inside of those wicks on the higher time frame. So now this is why we get so many triggers on the lower time frame. And as you're seeing right here, okay, you're looking right here, you're seeing that the market is reacting around here. I come here to my 5 minute, and you can see it's actually sitting on below it a little bit, but it's still considered like all around. This is all that I'm saying rejection. It is a rejection, but I'm trying to say the wicking out. All this activity is in the wicks. So this is how you understand. Now, are we about to take a trade right now? No, we're not. Okay, we're not. But I just want you to understand that this is what you're seeing in those wicks. So this is why so many triggers happen on the lower time frame. Like, for example, we already have, that's why I was glad this triggered. We already have a harmonic scanner trade, right? The harmonic scanner identified that this is going to buy. This is our harmonic pattern in here, and it's going to buy. Then the vibrata comes in and says, you know what? This is where I want, this is triggered on the 5 minute. So if I come down to the 5 minute chart and we look at where these things are triggering, 37953, 37953, right up in here. So where this trigger is right around the psych level, right? So right up in this area is where my trigger is. And so yet you see, what do we talk about at the top of this call? What were we talking about at the top of this call? How this trigger for what? A buy. What is it in? What does this look like? And who's going to be the first one to message me and say the vibrato doesn't work? Because this is why we grab understanding, because the vibrato works very, very, very well. And I'm going to show you why in just a minute. So come down to the 5 minute. When I come to my 30, what's my 30 doing? It's look at the market has to correct, guys. It has to. So as I'm looking here, you see that stochastic. Yes, it's pointed down, but look at this candle trying to come back up. Look at my stochastic starting to get some curve to it. We already know we're rejecting on the higher time frame. That's what we're doing. We're rejecting. And so we're not moving for a trade until we get some alignment there. But now you see why this is triggered. And why it's triggered for a buy, as it understands that it's coming for a sell. So the big picture, we have a harmonic scanner, a harmonic pattern that's identified through the harmonic scanner, but yet that does not give me all the activity and all of the details. So we analyze it. But then we turn around and we got a vibrata that gives me a lot of the activity and some of the details. And then you have to turn around and come back over here. Guys, any questions, comments, or testimonies, I promise we'll pick up back. We're not done with this, okay? I know I lost about 20, almost half of the call based on my power going out. But one thing I really want to tell you, right? One thing I really want you to understand is that I'm talking about the vibrato. Do you guys see this trigger? Work with me. I know it's been storming out here like crazy, but I know y'all can hear me right now. So do you see that? I need to know that you see that. I need to know that you guys are understanding like this trigger right here. All right. Okay, great. I need to know that so I know where to pick up from. Okay. Definitely need to know that. Then as I'm looking at this, okay, I want you to understand something. This is very comparable to what the big banks of the world utilize, okay? This is very comparable to what the big banks of the world utilize. Now, I want you to know our movement, right? You're on a call for a movement called Be Your Own Bank. Our movement has a visionary. The visionary's name is Mr. Gerald D. Rogers. Now, Mr. Rogers has a background in investment banking. And I want you to understand that with that background, what has transpired is he was able to connect with the gentleman who created this tool, Mr. Stephen Hooley, and then, of course, it was vetted. This tool was vetted. So we got a gentleman with a background in investment banking, 25 years, has worked with some phenomenal companies, some phenomenal individuals. And then you turn around and you got a tool that's created and it was vetted and it's very comparable to what the big banks of the world utilize. And that explains, I could go get off my charts now. That explains why when you look at the front of this tool, he is actually the spokesperson, if it'll pull up. I'm not going to try to play it because it's too much of a lag in my internet right now. But that explains why he's a spokesperson for this tool. And so I definitely want you guys to understand the power of what you have. So don't question what it's doing or don't question the validity. Question, am I analyzing? Have I dug deep? Am I really understanding? Because let me tell you, we have people who, based on what we're training and based on what we're doing, are having $100 days, right? And I promise you, and not only 100, the same day, see, we just say 100. We know you guys make more than that, right? Right. We know you do that, right? We know you make more than that. But I mean, because I got that same day we were screaming, which was this week, $100 days, I got a screenshot that said $1,000 day, right? So just imagine, anytime you want something, you just, hey, make a withdrawal, right? Anytime you need something, like, oh, let me go get my car service. Oh, I'm sorry, that's me today. Let me make a withdrawal. So I just want you guys to understand that this is your personal ATM. This is the space and the place that you want to be in, because you don't want to have to be like, oh no, I can't get that done. Oh no, I'm sorry. I know I need this, but I'm not trying to get it done today. You want to be in a position where you say, okay, what is it going to be? Okay, let me go make a withdrawal. Let me go pull some money out. Let me go do this. Let me go do that. Because this is your personal ATM. And that's what we mean. BYOB Cash Out is the pen. And you're going to understand exactly how to read these charts, how to read the market, and how to turn this market into your very own best friend. And as you do that, guess what's going to happen? Now you're gonna run them, you're gonna run the 6 figures to 6 months. We're gonna run that play. That's the play we're gonna run. And then on top of that, right, I'm excited because now I get to actually transition this call, right? We get to transition this call. Now, transition this call to, I'm gonna tell you, he has a PhD in finance and economics. We're talking about a consultant, a CFO, and an educator, a gentleman that has dedicated his life to empowering people and understanding finances and understanding of financial, right? Just understanding finances from that perspective. And that is why he is called the finance doctor, because he wants to bring a healing to your financial narrative. So I'm gonna turn this call over to the one and only finance doctor, Dr. Craig Bythewood. Dr. Bythewood, are you on the line?
Yes, I am, Miss Tasha M. Dyer. Thank you very much for your introduction. So let me jump right in and say this, ladies and gentlemen. I had a coaching responsibility this evening, so I am inside of a dark parking lot with no camera access. So as we have been showing all night, it is what it is, and we will make sure that the information continues to go through, even if we're doing so in non-traditional methods. I want to pause for a second and just really applaud my teammates, because I love the way in which Miss Anderson responded to Miss Dyer's situation and the give and take and the seamlessness of it. Someone who would listen to this recording wouldn't even recognize what's happening if those words weren't stated. So to me, what they did is more than just teammates helping out teammates. To me, it's also symbolism of who we are, what we do, and how we do it. This is a movement. A movement is a group of individuals that are moving in the same direction. There's an energy match. There's a vibration that is focused on doing better, being better, growing, expanding. And so the same way in which one educator fell off and then another educator jumped in, that is an analogy for where you are right now with this skill set. Because sometimes we sit on the sideline and we question, we wonder whether or not we'll ever be able to do this. When in reality, all you have to do is realize that you're the next person up. All you have to do is realize that every single thought you're having, every single challenge you're having, every educator went to that at some point. You have to go through your process in order to get where you're going to go. But the way in which we seamlessly handled it, to me, is such an example of what this movement is about. So I encourage someone that's driving in their conceptual car, that when the educator drops off, when the educator unexpectedly has to go, I need you to be able to step up and just begin to go through the strategy. Now think about it. If Ms. Anderson was driving, that means she did not have any access to looking at any of the materials. And I know for a fact that some of us, when we first start this process, our shoulders are so tight. We want this so badly. We want to learn it with such intensity that we want to memorize every step and we want to write everything down. Well, here's something I do on a daily basis. I have a 10-minute meeting with my 3 teenage girls. Oh, I'm sorry, one of them is 20 now, with my 20-year-old, my 17-year-old, and my 16-year-old. And they have to explain the BYOB cash out strategy. And the reason why I do that is because I know that just as Ms. Dyer has had this analogy about the market being your best friend, you don't have to remember your best friend's name. I literally had a meeting today with a colleague of mine that I have known for about 20 years. And he told me his email address and it had 3 letters. I knew the first letter was his first name. I knew the third letter was his last name. but didn't recall what the middle name was or what the middle letter was. So I said, what does W stand for? And he said, that's my middle name. Watch this, watch this. He said, you should know that. You're my boy. You should know that. So all I could do was just get called out because he's right. I should have known that. That's how you want to approach the Be Your Own Bank movement and the Be Your Own Bank cash out strategy, the BYOB cash out strategy. You should know this. So I want everyone under the sound of my voice, live or listening to a recording, to now take the onus to take your learning to another level. How do you do that? You do that by literally saying it to someone, saying it to yourself. Because if you have to explain the BYOB cash out strategy and you begin to stumble on a certain part, that tells you right away that there's something that you need to master. I'll give you another example on this same point. My 16-year-old is probably, of my 3 girls, she has the largest raw intelligence. That's not necessarily a good thing, because having raw intelligence means she's going to score high on the standardized exam, but she ain't learning nothing. She don't have to learn anything. I said it like that on purpose. She doesn't have to learn anything because her brain can just memorize it and regurgitate it. So every time she explains the BYOB cash out strategy, guess what she does every time? She gets it mixed up. She says red candle when it should be green. She says up when it should be down. She says above when it should be below. So I want you to understand the point I'm making. The reason why she does it, I just told you the child is smart. I just told you the child is the smartest, so she's not making that mistake because she's dumb. She's making the mistake because she is memorizing rather than internalizing. Let me say that again. Yes, because it rhymes. She's memorizing rather than internalizing. So some of you beginners right now, I just struck a chord. Some of you are memorizing the strategy. And when you memorize the strategy, then you have the onus, or you have the probability of my baby girlarizing yourself. Because if you my baby girlarize yourself, you may remember it incorrectly because you're remembering. But if you internalize it, it's yours. So the last time she did that, I ended my 10-minute meeting that I have daily with my children. Pause. Let's stop there for a second. Why do you do it daily? You just did it yesterday. Why do you have to do it tomorrow? You did it today. I need you to understand something about the way our mind works. When you focus on something every single day, there's a pattern that your body and your mind goes through that's in 24-hour periods. I mean, think about it. Is it a coincidence that our day is set up into 24-hour periods? And during that time period, the sun is going to rise and set. So the 24-hour periods represents the cycle, the lunar cycle, the solar cycle, in which the earth and also the body operates. So if you go through a whole lunar cycle and a solar cycle without looking at a particular piece of information, then that information could get lost with all of the things that you process in that day. But if you make the effort, if you make the decision to do something about the BYOB cash out strategy every day, even if it's 5 minutes, you're ingraining it into your subconscious. You're making it a part of your cycle. You're putting it in, you're imprinting it into your soil. So it's so important that every single day you do something. Like I say to my girls, it's easy. All you have to do is make sure you do more than 0. Each day you have to do more than 0. If you do 30 seconds, that's better than doing nothing. So I do this for them every 10 minutes. And back to my baby girl, I remember exactly where I was. After she memorized that, I took her to the side and I put her in front of the television screen. Why television screen? Well, I have my computer set up to the computer so that when we're looking at charts, it's easier for us to be able to see them in big, boldness. So she's standing in front of the television and she's looking at the chart on the vibrato. Then watch this. I told her to do it again. Do what you just did on that call. Now, instead of looking at the screen of her mind, she's looking at a real screen. And I wish I had recorded it, because there were so many times when the little girl said, oh, y'all know that moment when you really get it, when it really hits you. Oh, because now she was able to take the intellectualization of the BYOB cash out strategy and then begin to see it. So it's impossible for her to get up and down mixed up. It was impossible for her to get green and red messed up because it was right there. And ever since then, she's been killing the game. So I'm bringing this story up for this. Someone this morning put in the chat, I haven't done it yet. That is totally appropriate. I haven't done it yet. We all have been in a specific point where we hadn't done it yet. We've all experienced not yet. But one of the things that I felt energetically popping off of that chart, popping off of that chat, was that this is a person who really needs to make the leap. This is a person that's walking in a little bit of hesitation. You know exactly who you are. I won't call your name. This is a person that really needs to push through. So one of the ways to push through is to do what I just suggested, to begin to internalize it, but to also internalize while you visualize. Y'all notice when I'm not on camera, I'm always rhyming. So instead of trying to memorize, you want to internalize, and then you want to visualize. So by doing that, you're really layering in the information. Her ability to be able to trade has been so much better since she did that. So the individual that said, I haven't done it yet, I hope you heard what Ms. Dyer said. Ms. Dyer said, next call, come in with your demo ready. It's so important that we recognize that we don't want to let this education be a movie. We're not sitting down eating popcorn and watching what Ms. Dyer is doing or watching what Ms. Anderson is doing. What we're doing is recognizing that we have to participate. You have to be an active participant. So that young lady that said, not yet today, I encourage you that between now and Monday, A, internalize, B, visualize, and then C, be ready on Monday to participate with your demo in hand, ready to go. And you'll be surprised at how quickly you're going to be able to get to where you need to go. Now, that was all my setup for the point that I really like to make today. So, Ms. Dyer said something that sparked something in me. So whether you realize this or not, be your own bank movers. Every time I get on this call, I'm walking in an anointing where I'm expressing what needs to be heard. And it sometimes goes into the depths of my experience. It goes into the depths of my feelings. Miss Brownlee is very quick to say, you're so transparent. Yes, I am. But the transparency is what allows God to dig deep into my experience and pull out something that can help you and or your family. So I'm very comfortable with being able to be real about that. So what Ms. Dyer said at the end of the call tonight on Thursday was this. If you look at this pattern, if you look at this chart, if you look at where it is, it's hitting rejection. It's at a point of rejection. And then she said, blah, 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 the triggers. You're hitting a point of rejection. And this is at the trigger. It triggered for this. It triggered for that. So what I would like to talk about for the rest of this call is this. What if persecution is part of the package? What if persecution is part of the package? What? You didn't hear me? Okay. What if persecution is part of the package? You see, there's this gentleman that I study from time to time because his life also went pretty deep and gives us many opportunities to be able to apply his principles to our daily life. And this dude was Jesus. And Jesus was persecuted. He also knew that he was going to be persecuted. It was part of the plan. You ever wonder why he chilled for 30 years and then did his ministry for only 3? Or was he chilling? Or instead, he was in the lab getting ready. So here's one of the comments that Miss Dyer makes that she doesn't know this, I've never said this before. But I get really excited when I hear Miss Dyer tell this story. Because when we started this movement, Miss Dyer was Miss Dyer, but she wasn't the master educator that she is now. And so I did not know that when she started this process, she decided, I am going to be a master educator. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was her affirmation. But she started in the beginning claiming that this is what I'm going to be. And I have no problem saying this because it's part of my point. She was not our first educator, but she rose to the top. She became the educator because she decided in the beginning, this is the mission. So back to Jesus and them, for 30 years, he was in the lab, knowing what the mission was, understanding what was about to go down. So the 30 was preparing him for the 3. The 30 was preparing him for the 3. I wonder how many people right now know that this is the vehicle, know that this is the way for you to get freedom, know that this is what you've been waiting for your whole life, but you are a little bit reluctant because you still stuck in the 30 instead of focusing on the 3. Ooh, I just said something. Some of y'all know you're ready. You know this is it, but it's some beliefs and there's some triggers and there's some pain and there's some experiences that happen in the 30. And you still looking back at the 30 instead of focusing on the 3. So what Dr. Craig Bythewood is saying to you is this. He knew that persecution was part of the package. He knew that by being persecuted, it was going to create the situations that was going to allow him to be able to bless us in a way that's still happening now. 2021 years later. You know, sometimes we take that for granted. This is not supposed to be a religious call. It's not even supposed to be a religious planet. But bottom line, I just got to say this. You ever think about the fact that every single person, regardless of what you believe, when you write a check, he say check, when you decide to write something down on and they ask you what the date is, you got to write down 2021. And 2021 is simply the amount of years that have passed since the birth of Christ. So I'm just saying, you can say what you want about who and what and when and how, but all I'm saying is we all write down the same date. So based on that, my point is simple. For this dude that I'm talking about now, for this role model that I'm referencing, he knew that persecution was part of the package. Now, I have had a PhD in finance and economics for 27 years. A lot of people that I've been responsible for teaching and leading and mentoring and coaching. Well, there was something that I wanted to do that I knew was going to be beneficial to the planet. Of course, the Be Your Own Bank cash out strategy or the Be Your Own Bank movement is beneficial to the planet. But this was another project. This was a side project. So when I decided to jump on this side project, when I was asked to by a very good friend of mine, I decided to go to certain people and allow them to assist me. And one of the individuals that I wanted to allow to assist me was a close family member. So I went to this close family member, pause. Let's get deep. Dr. Craig Bythewood was raised by a single mother, and my father was never in my life. That's not true. My father was in my life for a few years when I was young. He's a Pop-Tart. He'll pop in and pop out. Right now, I'm 54 years old. He's in a pop out situation right now. But that's what he does. He pops in and pops out. Now, I'm the one always telling you, people do not do and say things to you. They do and say things. But I know y'all heard that it sounded kind of personal when I said that. But that's the bottom line. That's my experience. So I'm saying that just to say that I did not have the support of a male when I was growing up. And that's okay. That's okay, because we know the real male that supports us. I'm just saying. So I'm sorry, I'm getting excited. So I said all that to say this. I went to a family member and I said, family member, I'm working on this very important project. And this project has the capability of impacting the planet. So what I'd like to do is I'd like for you to share with me some people in your circle that you think could benefit from knowing about this planetary impact project. And in return, I just like to share with them what we're doing so that they can be a part of this big planetary impact movement that we're about to do. Now, the family member said, okay, week went by, nothing. Another week went by, nothing. So I reached out to the family member and I said, family member, do you remember that I asked you to give me some names that are people that were interested in participating in this planetary impact project? And the person said, oh yeah. So the family member began to ask me some questions. And as they were asking me some questions, my body began to feel some type of way. Okay, y'all, let's just go all the way there. We all are gifted with the spirit of discernment. And oftentimes you can tell the energy that's going on in the person that you're speaking with by the way in which you feel. Your feelings are an indicator. Now, can I just be real for 1 second? I've always been the kind of person that's had a lot of female friends. And this is advice that I've been giving my female friends for years. You know from Jump Street. You can tell in your soul. You can tell in your spirit. You can feel it in your cells when he's not going to do you right. Oh, I know I'm talking to somebody right now. But some of us ignore that and we go through it. Of course, men do it too. I'm just only referencing women because it's something that's happened over and over and over and over. And plus, men think a little bit more logical. Women think a little bit more emotional. So it's possible for that to happen. My only point is that sometimes you can just feel it. So while I was having this conversation with this family member, I felt judgment. You know, Dr. B says it all the time. Observation is strength. Judgment is weakness. Observation is strength. Judgment is weakness. Well, I just felt that there was some judgment going on about, I don't know what it was about. Nobody can get inside of somebody's head and know what they're thinking, but it felt judging. So then the family member began to ask me a whole bunch of questions. And as they were asking all kind of questions, I was answering the questions. But then each answer led to more questions. And at a certain point, I realized it wasn't about the Planetary Impact Project anymore. I realized it was about that person's feelings about me. Now, earlier, when I started this concept of your persecution is part of your package, I brought up Jesus in them. And I want you to recognize something. The group of people in biblical times, the group of people while Jesus was alive, that gave him the least amount of love were those from Nazareth. Why would that be, finance doctor? Because people in Nazareth knew him as the carpenter's son. Oh, that dude? Oh yeah, I know him. He's the son of a carpenter. So when he would go to different places to preach, that's the place that drew the least amount of people because they knew him when. There's even a scripture that addresses it, and it says, a prophet is never a prophet in their own homeland. A prophet is never a prophet in their own homeland. So I began to feel that type of energy while I was talking to this family member. They were asking me all kind of questions that really didn't have anything to do with the Planetary Impact Project, but it had everything to do with the way they viewed me. So a few days went by. Let me back up and in that story. I was receptive. I was respectful because we always should honor our family. And part of the law of allowing is allowing people to be who they are. So it's okay for that person to ask me whatever they wanted to ask me, and I allowed that to take place. When it was over, I went on about my way, dealt with my feelings, and then that person reached out to me 3 days later and said this: I've decided that I'm not going to help you with this project, which is fine, but I'm also not going to share it with anybody in my circle. Now, I need to be real with y'all because I talk to you twice a week and I give you the same story every time. We got to keep our vibration high. We got to keep our vibration high. But I don't know if anybody's ever played a sport and you got the wind knocked out of you. Logically, you know you're supposed to get up, but it just takes a minute. You just got to let that air come back. So I literally had the wind knocked out of me because of that family member's response. But I had to remind myself of what I tell others. What we view as persecution is just a way for us to dig deep into ourselves and get to a level that we need to get to so that we can rise, so that we can be abundant. Right now, I'm talking to a group of people who I know. People around you are not supporting what you're doing. People around you don't understand why you're doing that. People around you don't get why you got to get on another call. People around you think it's a pipe dream. I could go on and on about what they're saying and thinking, but you know what I'm talking about. But I'm here tonight to remind you that the persecution that you're getting from those around you, it was already set up. Remember Jesus did his thing for 30 years, he was in the lab? Well, the writers of the Bible were in the lab too. Because when they said a prophet is never a prophet in their own homeland, they were preparing you. They were setting you up for what's going on right now. So just understand, you're going to rise. You're going to make it. You're going to get to 6 figures in 6 months. But you'd have to realize that those around you that are not supporting you, those around you that are just being who they are, that's just part of the package. And I remember distinctly hearing a pastor say to me years ago, Judas was Jesus' greatest teacher. So understand that they're not persecuting you. What they're doing is providing the momentum. What they're doing is providing the incentive. What they're doing is providing the mechanism for you to make it. Persecution is part of the package. This has been a talk with the finance doctor. Questions, comments, testimonies.
Dr. B, I have a testimony.
I am listening.
I just had this happen to me just the other day. Someone asked me, well, is what you doing got you to your economic freedom? So, so I had to think about what you said. I'm rising above that. I
Love
said
it.
that to myself. I'm
Love
going
it.
to a higher level.
Love it. Thank you so much. Was that Miss Laster?
Yes, it was, Dr. B.
It's just so dark in this car, but thank you so much for saying that. Yes. Are there any other questions, comments, or testimonies? Questions, comments, testimonies before we end this call and this week. Well, everyone, I really appreciate you listening. I appreciate you allowing me to be off camera. You know, I like for this call to be intimate. So what we did not have in intimacy and visualization, we definitely had it in story. So I hope everybody, well, I already know that many of you resonated with this because I know you're going through it right now and you may go through it in the future, but you'll be ready. When you start your 3 years, you'll be ready because of the 30 years that we just spent in the lab talking about this tonight. What if persecution is part of the package? Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this opportunity. We thank you for vehicles that allow us to be able to be versatile and flexible and allow our schedule to be met regardless of the circumstances. As I sit here in this car, literally dripping in sweat, I appreciate that because I know that this is perspiration that's of love, that's of joy, that is of abundance, that is of wealth, that is of what this movement is all about. This is perspiration of servanthood, and I thank you for it. Heavenly Father, bless this movement. Bless those who did not unmute, but certainly are going through this experience. We are thankful, we are appreciative, and we are grateful. Amen. Okay, everyone, thank you for your attention tonight. And this will officially end this call and officially end this week. BYOB worldwide.